Okay, so I need to get this off my chest because honestly, the guilt has been eating at me, but also like, not really, you know what I mean? Anyway, here goes nothing. Growing up in suburban Ohio, I was that nerdy kid who'd rather watch medical documentaries than Disney Channel. While other girls were dreaming about their sweet 16s at the country club, I was dissecting frogs in my garage and reading Grey's Anatomy, the actual textbook, not the show. Though McDreamy was fine as hell. My parents? Classic Midwest conservative types. Dad worked at the Ford plant. Mom sold Mary Kay on the side. They had this whole life planned out for me. Graduate high school, marry Brad from church, EW. Pop out babies, and host Thanksgiving dinners forever. When I told them I wanted to be a doctor, Dad literally laughed so hard he spilled his Budweiser all over the lazy boy. Sweetie, Mom said, patting my hand like I was 5. Medical school is for rich families. And besides, what man wants to marry a woman who works 80-hour weeks? You'll never find a husband. They refused to co-sign my student loans. Said they'd only help pay for community college if I studied something practical, like becoming a dental hygienist or elementary school teacher. Dad straight up told me, "We're not wasting our retirement on some pipe dream. Girls don't need fancy careers." So at 18, fresh out of high school, I packed my beat-up Honda Civic with everything I owned and drove to Chicago. Got a job waitressing. At Applebee's, lived in the crappiest studio apartment in Wicker Park. Seriously, I think the cockroaches paid rent. And started taking pre-med classes at UIC. For 6 years, I busted my ass. Double shifts, MCAT prep, volunteering at Rush Medical Center. My parents? Radio silence. When I got into Northwestern's medical school, I called to tell them. Mom's response? Well, I hope you're not expecting us to help with that expensive mistake. Fast forward through 4 years of med school hell, 3 years of internal medicine residency, where I basically lived on hospital cafeteria coffee and vending machine Snickers. I'm now 32, working as an attending physician at Northwestern Memorial, making good money, living in a nice Lincoln Park condo. Then last month, my cousin Ashley, the family gossip, texts me, "Your parents are in trouble." Turns out Dad got laid off from Ford 2 years ago. Something about downsizing and automation. He's 68 now, too old to get hired anywhere decent. Mom's Mary Kay empire collapsed when everyone discovered Sephora exists. They burned through their savings trying to maintain their lifestyle, then took out a second mortgage. Lost the house 6 months ago. Now they're renting a room in their friend Janet's basement in Naperville. Janet, who used to look down on me for being too ambitious, is apparently charging them $800 a month for a moldy basement with one window. My parents reached out through Ashley. Want to reconnect. Need help with medical bills. Oh, the irony. Dad has diabetes he ignored for years. Mom needs knee surgery. They're drowning in debt and barely scraping by on Social Security. Ashley showed me their Facebook posts. All these vague updates about difficult times and family is everything, and hoping for miracles. The comments are full of their church. Friends sending thoughts and prayers, but nobody's actually helping. Here's the thing. I could help them. I make enough. I could pay off their debts, get them a decent apartment, cover their medical expenses. But every time I think about writing that check, I remember Dad laughing at my dreams. I remember Mom telling me I was selfish for wanting a career. I remember spending Christmases alone in my roach-infested apartment because they said I chose career over family. They haven't apologized. Haven't acknowledged they were wrong. Just suddenly want their doctor daughter back now that they need one. Am I being petty? Maybe. But they had 14 years to support me and chose not to. They could have been proud when I graduated summa cum laude. They could have come to my white coat ceremony. They could have done literally anything except mock my ambitions. My therapist says I need to decide what I can live with. My boyfriend thinks I should help, but set boundaries. Ashley keeps sending me pictures of them looking old and sad in that basement. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here in my nice apartment sipping wine that costs more than their weekly grocery budget, feeling like the worst daughter in the world, but also not. They made their choice. Now I'm making mine. But damn if it doesn't keep me up at night. Updated. So this whole situation has gotten even more complicated. And honestly, I didn't expect this many people to care about my family drama. But here we are, 3 weeks later, and things have taken a turn. After I posted, I couldn't stop thinking about everyone's comments. Half of y'all were like, forget them, they made their bed. And the other half were hitting me with the but they're your parents guilt trip. Fun times. I decided to meet them. Neutral ground, a Starbucks in Schaumburg, halfway between us. Walking. In and seeing them for the first time in 8 years? Brutal. Dad looked like he'd aged 20 years. Lost weight, gray stubble, wearing a faded Bears hoodie with holes in it. Mom's usually perfect hair was showing gray roots, and her designer purse was clearly a knockoff. They didn't recognize me at first. I mean, last time they saw me, I was a stressed-out college kid in ripped jeans. Now I'm walking in wearing my Burberry coat and actually looking like I have my life together. The shock on their faces when I said, "Hi, Mom, hi, Dad," priceless and heartbreaking at the same time. The conversation started awkward as hell. Small talk about the weather, how's work, that kind of BS. Then Dad cleared his throat and goes, "We hear you're doing well." Understatement of the century, but okay. Mom jumped in with, "Ashley showed us pictures from your Instagram. That's a lovely apartment." I'm sitting there thinking, now you're interested in my life? But I just nodded and sipped my overpriced latte. Then came the ask. Mom started crying, and not the dignified single tear down the cheek crying, full-on ugly crying into her knockoff Coach purse. "We made mistakes," she sobbed. "We were just trying to protect you." Protect me? From what? Success? Financial stability? Job satisfaction? Dad, trying to maintain some dignity, goes, "Your mother and I thought we were doing right by you. We didn't understand this whole doctor thing." This whole doctor thing, like my entire career, is just some quirky hobby I picked up. They laid out their situation. $45,000 in credit card debt, another $30,000 in medical bills, living in a basement that floods when it rains. Dad needs insulin he can't afford. Mom's knee is bone on bone, but surgery's out of the question. Their car is a 2004 Corolla with 200,000 miles on it. Then Dad said something that genuinely shocked me. "We're proud of you." 4 words. 14 years late. But hearing them still hit different. Here's the kicker, though. They still don't really get it. Mom goes, "We always knew you were smart, but we thought you'd be happier with a simpler life. Less stress, more time for family." I couldn't help myself. "You mean like the stress of being $75,000 in debt? That kind of simple life?" Silence. Dad tried to salvage it. "We see now that you knew what was best for you. We should have trusted you. Should've, would've, could've." They didn't straight up ask for money, but the implication was crystal clear. They talked about maybe selling Mom's wedding ring, about Dad trying to get a job as a Walmart greeter, about moving to a cheaper place if they could find one. I sat there for an hour listening to them plot their survival while I'm literally carrying a purse that costs more than their monthly rent. The cognitive dissonance was real. Before I left, I said I'd think about things. Mom grabbed my hand. Her skin felt paper thin and cold, and whispered, "We love you. We always have." Yeah, well, love doesn't pay for medical school or validate your dreams when everyone else thinks you're crazy. I gave them $500 cash from my wallet. Dad tried to refuse it, pride kicking in, but I insisted. Told them to get some decent groceries. The relief on their faces over $500. When I spend that on a weekend trip to Michigan Avenue, it messed with my head. Now I'm back home, staring at my bank account, knowing I could solve their problems without even feeling it financially. But there's this petty voice in my head going, "They wouldn't help you when you needed it." My boyfriend Jake, yeah, I didn't mention him much. Before, he's an investment banker, met him at a charity thing, thinks I should help but with conditions. Like, they need to acknowledge what they did, maybe family therapy, set up structured support rather than just throwing money at them. My best friend Sarah, also a doctor, we survived residency together, is team forget them completely. She remembers me crying in the on-call room because I couldn't afford to fly home for Christmas, even though my parents lived 3 hours away and wouldn't drive to see me. And then there's me, stuck between my Hippocratic oath to do no harm and my very human desire for them to understand how their choices affected me. The last thing Mom said as I was leaving, "We just wanted you to be happy." I am happy. I love my job, love my life, love what I've built. But apparently, being right doesn't make watching your parents struggle any easier. Still processing, still deciding, still feeling like I'm failing. Some cosmic daughter test. But hey, at least I can afford therapy to work through it, right? Updated. All right, so I've made some decisions, and y'all are probably going to have opinions about this, but here's what went down. After that Starbucks meeting, I spent 2 weeks basically not sleeping, stress-eating Garrett popcorn, and driving Jake crazy with my constant flip-flopping. 1 minute, I'm ready to write them a blank check. The next, I'm remembering how they literally laughed at my med school acceptance letter. Then something happened that changed everything. I was at work, doing rounds, when I get paged to the ER. Elderly patient came in with diabetic ketoacidosis. Basically, when your blood sugar goes so high, your body starts shutting down. I walk into the room and nearly had a heart attack. It's my dad. Turns out he'd been rationing his insulin, cutting pills in half, skipping doses to make them last longer. His blood sugar was over 600. Normal is under 100. He was barely conscious. And Mom was hysterical in the corner, still wearing that same knockoff purse from Starbucks. For the next 6 hours, I wasn't their estranged daughter. I was just a doctor trying to save a patient who happened to share my DNA. got him stabilized, admitted him to the ICU, and had to watch mom sleep in those awful hospital chairs because she couldn't afford a hotel. That night, I went home and made a spreadsheet. Yeah, I'm that person now. Listed out all their debts, medical needs, basic living expenses. Did the math on what it would cost to actually help them versus just throwing money at the problem. Then I called my lawyer. Yes, I have a lawyer now. Fancy, right? Here's what. I decided I set up a trust. Not giving them cash directly because, let's be real, financial planning isn't their strong suit. The trust pays for a decent apartment in Arlington Heights, safe, suburban, near medical facilities, health insurance, and all medical expenses, basic living expenses, groceries, utilities, car insurance, a used but reliable car, 2018 Honda Accord, because some habits die hard, but here's the catch. They have to follow certain conditions. Monthly financial counseling sessions. Dad has to follow his diabetes treatment plan. I get reports from his doctor. Mom has to get her knee surgery and do physical therapy. The trust is managed by a third party. They can't cash it out, can't make big purchases without approval, can't guilt trip me for more money because it's not coming directly from me anymore. Total cost, about $200K to clear their debts and probably $40K annually for ongoing support. That's like what some people spend on a boat. I can swing it. When I told them the plan, Dad broke down, like 68-year-old man sobbing at his kitchen table. Well, Janet's basement table. Mom kept saying, "We don't deserve this," over and over. Here's the part that surprised me. They actually apologized. Real apologies, not the sorry you feel that way. BS Dad. I was scared. Scared you'd struggle. Scared you'd fail. Scared you'd end up disappointed. I thought I was protecting you from heartbreak. Instead, I caused it. Mom, we grew up different. In our world, women didn't become doctors. They married them. I couldn't see past my own limitations to see your potential. Are these perfect apologies? No. Do they erase 14 years of feeling unsupported? Also, no. But it's something. We're doing family therapy now. Zoom sessions, because I'm not ready for regular in-person contact yet. Our therapist, Dr. Martinez, is earning every penny helping us unpack decades of Midwest emotional repression and generational trauma. Last week, Mom mentioned she's been bragging about me to her church friends. My daughter, the doctor at Northwestern, she says now. Same woman who once told me I was too selfish to be a good Christian. Dad's following his treatment plan religiously. His blood sugar is controlled, he's lost weight, and he actually asked me to explain how insulin works last week. Progress. They moved into their new apartment last Tuesday. 2-bedroom in a senior-friendly building with an elevator and a community room where Mom's already organizing a book club. Dad's got a small workbench in the garage where he's fixing things for neighbors. Are we a happy family now? Nah. There's still hurt, still resentment, still a Grand Canyon-sized gap between us. But we're working on building a bridge. Jake thinks I'm too generous. Sarah thinks I'm insane. Ashley's just happy the family drama has shifted away from her. Divorce. Me? I sleep better now. Not great, but better. Turns out, spite and success can only carry you so far before basic human decency kicks in. Plus, as one commenter said, the best revenge is living well while still being a good person. Or something like that. I was pretty wine drunk when I read it. They'll never be the parents I needed at 18, but maybe they can be the parents I can tolerate at 32. And maybe that's enough. Final update. We had our first family dinner last Sunday. Nothing fancy, just Boston Market takeout at their new place. It was awkward and weird, and Mom cried into her mashed potatoes. But Dad asked about my research on cardiac catheterization procedures, and for the first time ever, seemed genuinely interested in my answer. Baby steps, y'all, baby steps.